Okay, I think we are ready to get this party started. Hello and welcome everyone to the latest installment of SpinuTech webinars. We've got a dandy today. We've got a couple of fantastically brilliant women to talk us through today. My name is Devin Rang, Vice President of Business Development here at SpinuTech. I'll moderate today's events. For those of you who don't know, SpinuTech is a full-service web design and digital marketing agency. We've got offices in Cedar Falls and Des Moines, Iowa, Chicago, Denver, and Tampa, Florida. We also have remote team members in more than 20 states. So shout out to that crew if you guys are watching. At SpinuTech, our team of more than 160 team members helps clients build unique customer experiences to grow traffic, convert leads, and track their entire marketing funnel in one spot. So whether you're already a partner of ours or we're meeting for the first time, we hope you learned something today, and we look forward to continuing the conversation beyond today's discussion. Getting attacked. Apologies. Okay, now that we've got some of the general housekeeping out of the way, let's dive in. Today, you're going to hear from two of our subject matter experts in CRO. We get it. Another marketing acronym. I understand. But trust me, this is one that you guys are going to want to remember. CRO stands for Conversion Rate Optimization. At its core, CRO is the process of understanding your users and what motivates them. CRO strategists make data-driven optimizations to your website or app, improving overall user experience and increasing the chances of a user converting. More conversions should sound like music to your ears. It certainly does mine. So let's get things started by introducing our experts today. First, we have Megan Hoover. Megan's our CRO team lead, who is based out of Kansas. We also have Nadia Hamden. She is a senior CRO strategist based out of the lovely state of Utah. You'll notice today the chat function is disabled, but we do have the Q&A. We'll be monitoring that throughout today's discussion. So feel free to drop any questions you have in there as the ladies are covering their content. Outside of that, sit back, enjoy, and let's kick it over to Nadia.
Thank you, Devin. So regardless of how big or small your company may be, there's a high chance that a large portion of your marketing budget is purely dedicated to pushing traffic to your website. Both paid media and organic channels work hard to increase online impressions and drive clicks through thoughtfully curated strategies and optimizations. But traffic optimization is only half the battle. What happens after we earn the user's click? What happens when the user finally arrives on your website? Unfortunately, 90% of website visitors won't complete a desired action that we are wanting them to take, whether it be filling out a form or purchasing a product. At first, this can sound a little disheartening, but that's where CRO comes into play. CRO helps identify gaps in your website and works to improve the user experience for your online users. This is not only going to help boost your website's overall performance, but also aids in making the traffic you're already paying for more cost-effective. Here at SpinuTech, our experienced CRO team analyzes exactly what happens when a user arrives on your website or key landing page. After we've identified any roadblocks in the page or user journey, we generate tests to run on your site with the goal of finding variations that allow us to learn more about your target audience whilst improving overall performance. Don't let all the efforts of driving traffic to your website go to waste. Essentially, your website is your 24/7 salesman, whether it be for lead gen or for e-commerce. You have to train it in order for it to perform better and close the deal on the desired conversion action that you are wanting users to take. So say you find an extra $10,000 in your marketing budget and you're trying to decide where to push those extra funds. A lot of the time, the initial thought will be to put that money towards your paid budget to increase impressions and clicks. Hypothetically, if we utilize this tactic, we may see a 5% increase in traffic to your site for month one, but conversion rate remains stagnant, which say generates 275 more conversions or a little under $70,000 after 6 months. Now, putting that money towards your paid budget results in a 7 times return on your investment. On the other hand, say we decide to take a more data-driven CRO approach instead. So instead of putting the $10,000 towards your paid budget, we invest into a CRO program to optimize the traffic you already have and are already paying for. Hypothetically, if we utilize this tactic, traffic remains the same, but we may see a 3% increase in conversion rate, which generates 990 more conversions or a little under $250,000. This CRO approach results in a 25 times return on your investment. The key takeaway here is that Increasing your website traffic does not increase your website conversion rate. An increase in website traffic will only impact overall conversion volume, but it's not going to impact how good of a job your website is at getting a user to take action and convert. Paid programs typically only focus on getting users to the site, whereas CRO works to optimize messaging, imagery, UX, and a variety of other variables that impact a user's desire and willingness to convert. So a 25 times return on your investment, it sounds pretty exciting. It's easy to go down the rabbit hole of thinking it's only achievable through A, witchcraft, or B, making massive changes to every part of your website. But that's not the case. The smallest tweaks and changes on your website can lead to big wins. For example, we added a value proposition, no more than 2 sentences to a client's lead gen form, and saw a 73% median increase in conversion rate for form submissions. For another client in the baking industry, we added a sticky CTA button to their key landing page, and we saw 154% median increase in apply now clicks, which was their main KPI that they were trying to improve upon. So value propositions that highlight what makes your business unique, bullet points that clarify what a user should expect after submitting a form, or reducing overly large form fields are just some of the small examples that have led to those bigger test wins. No test idea is too small in CRO, and we prove that month after month with our CRO programs here at SpinUtech. A robust, high-velocity CRO program, it's going to identify many areas of opportunity for key pages on your website. So through quantitative and qualitative analysis, tests are generated to continuously study user behavior and improve online conversion paths. Something important to note is that all these tests that we run are completely determined by the analysis that we conduct on your specific website. So although we might sometimes find patterns of success with certain test concepts, every test is curated specifically for your website, your business, and your KPIs. Despite a constant promotion of smaller test concepts with clear hypotheses, it's still not uncommon to see clients contemplating either a website redesign or a new UX trend that they want to implement. In an ever-changing design landscape, there's always something new to try. However, these big design swings usually entail 2 things, a big lift and lots of money. Before executing larger design projects, utilize CRO to incrementally test into those different changes that you want to try out. Remember, just because a new UX trend or design works for one website, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for your specific website and audience. So trying to copy and replicate design elements from Apple and Amazon, that's not a data-backed approach. Versus testing into new designs lowers the risk of a negative impact and can save you thousands of dollars in case the test proves to not positively impact your most important KPIs. Why risk your valuable marketing dollars when CRO can help out with that risk mitigation component? Coming from a design background, even I have to stop myself when I get too excited about a new design concept. Because no matter how much I like a new design or how much you may like a new design, there's no guarantee that it's going to improve conversions. For example, for one of our clients, we tested out an entirely new landing page design that appeared to be more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. We modified the hero banner space. We introduced newly designed modules and page content. Despite the user interface appearing better from a design perspective, the new design hurt the conversion rate for the client's most important KPI by 8%. This again highlights the importance of always testing and relying on data pulled from your specific audience, as the data will offer us the answers that we are looking for.
All right. Thank you, Nadia. So landing pages, as Nadia was just talking about, landing pages are a vital part of a marketing cycle. And a lot of times we see folks just sending traffic to a product page or a site, an interior page on their site. And while that can be really valuable, we see a lot of times we see really good improvements with dedicated landing pages that match the ad. Landing pages have one goal and one focus. Their focus is to meet the promise of the ad. If I clicked on an ad saying free demo and then I get to your site and I don't see free demo, I've got a disconnect there and I'm likely to bounce, or I'm going to spend a lot of time in frustrated search looking for that free demo. So if you've got a paid program or you are sending traffic to your site anywhere, You really need to be thinking about where your landing pages are. Are they matching the promises of the ad? Are they doing what you need them to do? And CRO can do a lot of things with landing pages. We can do everything from optimize your current landing pages to tell you which landing pages you should actually be sending traffic to. The ad platforms aren't really set up to help you test which URLs or landing pages are the right ones. It's technically possible to do it within the ad platform, but it's messy, it's complicated, it creates a lot of, mismatches and duplicate ads and all kinds of weirdness. A CRO program, with the use of one of our testing tools, we can compare two landing pages head to head without you ever having to mess with your ads. The coolest thing about landing page testing through a CRO program is your ads get to stay the same. You never have to go into that ad platform and start messing around with your ads until you for sure know that the decision you're making is going to help improve things. Kind of a throwback to what Nadia was talking about earlier. We love to build on small wins. A lot of people think sometimes that CRO is going to be, you give me a roadmap, we test for 6 months, and then we're done. Well, the truth of the matter is that's not how the internet works or the world works, right? The world is always changing, and so we're always looking to test. We won't always get giant wins through giant changes. Lots and lots of little changes and little wins add up over time for big results. And I've got an example here. Let's say your current website is generating 100,000 monthly visitors. Your conversion rate is a nice healthy 5%, which means you've got 5,000 monthly conversions. You guys had told us that your conversion value is $250, monthly revenue 1.25 million, pretty simple. So we do a small tweak to a form, maybe we change the messaging, and we get a 10% improvement in conversion rate. Your new conversion rate is 5.5%, or 5,500 monthly conversions. So with one test, you've bumped yourself up to another $125,000 in increased website revenue. Do that again, now you've got a 6.05% conversion rate, and you've got an extra $262,500 or $500,000. So little wins add up to big things. Sometimes it can be tough when you're looking at these test wins to see like, oh, it's only a 3% bump or it's only a 5% bump. Well, 3% plus 5% plus 5% plus 10% ends up being a lot of real world dollars down the line. The question I get asked the most from people is, well, what's the one thing I should test, or what's the one thing I should change? And the reality is, I don't know. Until I actually look at your site and your data and get to know your users and your value propositions, I can't tell you what to test or what to change on your site. There is no such thing as a best practice when it comes to CRO, other than always be trying to solve a problem based on the data. That's your best practice. What works for Apple might not work for you. What works for your competitor might not work for you. We have so many examples of things where we've tested and we've had 5 winners across 5 different people or clients, and then that sixth client, it's a loser. One example is we do a lot of testing around what we call clarity. So we do form clarity tests. We explain to visitors to your site, what's going to happen after I fill out this form? So many forms on the internet just exist in this floating void where I fill it out and I don't know, am I getting a phone call? Am I getting an email? Did I just tell you that you can have my firstborn child? It's just this floating form. So we did a lot of testing around form clarity where we added steps to the top of the form. Fill out this form. I'm going to email you, and then we're going to set up a demo. We saw it be successful and very successful for 5 clients in a row. We tested it out on a 6th client saying this is going to be a slam dunk. It was terrible. So there is no such thing as a best practice. What works for your client over here might not work for you. And so it's really important that we take the time to dig into the data and really understand what's working on your site for your audience and ignore what's working for other people. How many times have you sat in a meeting and somebody has said, I feel like? As somebody who sits on a data team, I like to call these feelings meetings, and they make me crazy. So you don't have to guess. Your audience will tell you if you test everything. So you don't have to guess what the right creative is. You don't have to guess what the right CTA is. You don't have to guess if that trend that's currently happening on 3 of your competitor sites is actually working or not. You can know. Your audience is unique to you. You're solving a unique problem in a unique way, and your website should reflect that. It can't reflect that if we're just constantly chasing trends or going off of gut feelings. With a CRO program, you use a testing tool to show experiences or creative to a portion of your audience against what you currently already have. And your audience is going to tell you, hey, we like the old one. Hey, we like the new one. It's a really great way to stop guessing about what's working and to actually know. And then my favorite thing about running a testing and optimization program, and I think the most valuable and underrated part of a testing and optimization program, is it's actually omni-channel learning. You can take what you learn on your website through testing. Let's say, for example, you test out a quote and that quote really appeals to your customer base and you get a big lift in conversion rate on your website for visitors who see that quote. Guess what? That quote now can go into some emails. It can go into even some print ads. What you learn through testing on the site can be applied to lots of different channels. What we learn on the site can impact what you say in your ads. It can impact what creative you show in your social. It's truly omni-channel learning. It's a really cool part of CRO that doesn't get a lot of credit. You learn stuff on the site through robust testing and data, and then you get to apply that to other places that maybe are a little bit more sensitive to changes. So when you're making those changes to those other channels, you know for sure that this already appeals to your audience. And with that, I'm going to send it back to Devin.
Fantastic. Ladies, thank you. Wonderful info as always. So we'll jump in here. Again, reminder, we've got the Q&A function activated there at the bottom. So if you want to jump in with some questions, we do have a few here. Ladies, I'll read these off, and then if you guys just want to jump in and kind of give us some feedback here. First up, what role does CRO play in an overarching digital marketing strategy? Is it a primary tactic, or would you consider it more of a supporting role?
That's going to depend a little bit. I think if you have paid traffic, if you're sending money through Bing, Google, you need a CRO program. They're sisters, they're twins, they hold hands, they skip down paths together. They definitely should go hand in hand, and therefore it's a primary tactic. There are some cases where CRO can be a secondary tactic. And if you're a smaller company and your budget's a little bit tighter, maybe you only are optimizing your paid landing pages. If you have a lot of organic traffic coming to your larger site, CRO has to be a primary tactic to make sure that the traffic that you're getting is actually going to convert and do something.
Yeah, makes a ton of sense. Appreciate that. Next up on our list here, when we talk about budget and kind of investing in CRO, from your guys' perspective, is there a specific percentage of our budget we should allocate for CRO? Could you dive into that just a little bit?
I can take that one. So budget's going to be dependent on how many channels that you're wanting to optimize. So for instance, if you're solely trying to optimize paid traffic, you may want to put a portion there to optimize those key landing pages. If you are wanting to optimize multiple channels like paid traffic, email, organic, you're going to want to dedicate a larger percentage of that budget. As you're trying to optimize more channels, you're going to have to run more tests. And the more tests that you are running, the more learnings that you're going to generate. So it's simply dependent on how many learnings you want to find, how many channels you want to optimize. And that's a great starting point for deciding what percentage to allocate.
Yeah, makes sense. Appreciate that. Okay, next on the list, we talked about websites and landing pages. Curious about your guys' take if how e-com works into that. Does it CRO impact that differently than a standard website, or what? How does CRO impact e-com?
Oh my gosh, e-com is my favorite. The short answer is, if you have an e-com site and you don't have CRO, you definitely are throwing money away. E-com is such an interesting environment where you want to encourage people to, to browse, to look at multiple things, because we all know that the more you buy, the larger your cart, the more money you get. So it's this really interesting thing. It's a little bit different than lead gen because it's not just show up, put blinders on, here's the form, get out of their way. E-com is this really cool environment of, we want to encourage people to be here as long as they need, but not so long that they don't give me their money. So CRO is super important for e-com. It's going to be very dependent on your products. You can get a lot of traction through testing recommendations, through testing how people search, how people browse. You may have a product that people are going to be more likely to casually browse. It's really common in like apparel where people are just kind of browsing around. Or you could be coming to us with a product that's definitely more of a, I need filters, it's a technical product, and I want to get down to exactly what I need. So CRO is incredibly important for e-com. It does behave a little bit differently from a lead gen. It's going to be a little bit less landing page focused and a lot more user journey through multiple pages focused, in addition to kind of personalized recommendations for that upsell.
Yeah, really good. Awesome. All right. Next on the list, we talked about CRO testing. So should you repeat CRO tests over time to make sure what was, quote unquote, winning in the past is still working? And if yes, what's a typical cadence look like to kind of revisit testing and things along those lines?
I would say the short answer is yes, but it's complicated. I think it's going to depend on how robust your CRO program is. And if you've got a small budget and you're trying to make the most of that, if there hasn't been something in your data that's triggered you to say, ooh, maybe this still isn't working, or maybe this has stopped working, then I wouldn't recommend spending your dollars to retest something without a prompt. That being said, I have retested things for clients in the past, unprompted, just to verify that something is still working. And if we're retesting something, usually, I shouldn't actually say unprompted. There's usually something either in the environment, a trend, or the actual data that would prompt the retest. Usually not within the same calendar year. So it'll be a year after or so. Or if a major site change has happened that had nothing to do with testing, we might retest something. A lot of times we end up with like things layered on top of each other, and you have to go back and say, oh, is this all still working together? And so I think it's less about retesting, and I think it's more about re-auditing. So more than one time a year, you have to go in and really dig into your data, look at your quantitative data, look at your qualitative data. Is what we've done and gotten to still working? Do we need to retest something? Do we need to peel back a layer? It's not really about retesting. It's more about re-auditing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So just staying on the testing topic, do you guys is there like a kind of a standardized, call it testing 101? Like where would you start in terms of kind of creating or putting a test together for the audience here, just to give them an idea?
Nadia, I was gonna say, I think Nadia was gonna have a great answer for this one.
Yeah, so that's going to go back again to to what channel you're optimizing. So if you are optimizing a paid landing page, I definitely recommend, testing up in that hero banner space. That's going to be what the user first sees when they load that page. And oftentimes that's where we can get the most impact with testing on a value proposition, a call to action, versus if you're testing on your main site for organic traffic. You may want to start on the homepage or any page that does have a high amount of traffic, because the more traffic that you have to a page, the more quickly we can get and generate those test learnings and results. So it's going to depend on what channel you're optimizing for, and how much traffic that page is getting.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Ladies, I appreciate it as always. Great content. Really appreciate the insights. All right. for those of you on the other end, we'll close this thing out. Everything today was recorded. So as a result of attending today, we'll get you an email tomorrow. You'll have a link to the recording so you can go back and reference any of the content, the slides, the Q&A section. So keep your eye out for that. For those of you, if we didn't get to your questions, or maybe you think of questions later, you can actually still submit those to the team. Just go ahead and send those questions to webinar@spinutech.com, and we'll get those answered and back in your inbox relatively quickly. As a general reminder, our next webinar is coming up in November, where we'll take a look at cookieless future and what it means for companies in their digital marketing programs, lead gen activities, etc. So keep an eye out for that. By attending today, you'll get an automatic invite. So we'll get that in your inbox. But if you want to share that, kick it out. We'd love to have more folks. It's going to be a good one, I think. In the meantime, we appreciate you all attending today. Ladies, again, thank you very much. Again, if you've got questions, go ahead and shoot it over to webinar@spinutech.com. Outside of that, we appreciate it. Have a great rest of the week, and we will talk to you guys soon. Take care.